I'm Larry O'Connor alongside Brian Wilson.
Joining us now from the Washington Examiner, where he is the chief political correspondent, Byron York. Good morning to you, Byron.
Good morning, guys.
All right, I guess we need to get sort of a status update before we delve too deeply into this. Where are we in these negotiations? We hear something's happening in the Senate, but we're not all that sure that it's going to find favor in the House.
Well, we're not totally sure it's going to be a deal in the Senate,
Yeah,
but
that's true.
It looks like they've got some sort of deal in which they'll have a continuing resolution to reopen the government, and that will last for a few months till January. And then they'll also have a debt limit extension, and that will last a bit longer because they really don't want to have these things knocking up within a few days of each other again, like we've just had. And I think part of the news from the House's perspective is it's almost nothing about Obamacare. It may be one little tax thing. It may be a little bit of income verification, but that's it. So all these people in the House who wanted to defund Obamacare, they wanted to delay it a year, or they wanted to delay the individual mandate, they are not going to get what they want in this deal.
Well, in the Washington Examiner, you report that some people who've been able to get through the system, and there's darn few of those, finding plans that have like deductibles of $12,000, co-pays of 40%, and rate hikes of up to 260%. So there's a lot there that should be looked at very closely, is there not?
Well, that's the interesting thing here is that once all the news with the Obamacare rollout since October 1st has been all of these so-called computer glitches, or maybe they're massive problems with the architecture of the computer system. But it's all been people unable to get on and to do what they're supposed to be able to do with the Obamacare exchanges. But when they figure that out, when the administration fixes up its computer problems, then people are going to, I think, move on to the sticker shock phase of Obamacare, in which a lot of them find out that their premiums are going to be increased, or their deductibles are going to be increased by a lot, or both of those things. And I think what you're going to see in Congress is, among Republicans at least, and they do control the House, you're going to see hearings to investigate what's been going wrong with these exchanges. And then, if these prices do turn out to be as high as some are predicting, you're going to see investigations of that, too.
Byron York from the Washington Examiner is our guest. Let's get back to this possible deal, because really all it sounds like is the Senate is going to make a deal to delay the deal that they're going to have to make a few months from now, right?
That's right. They will actually set up some sort of committee. They won't call it a super committee, but some sort of committee to come up
Might
with
it be a blue ribbon panel?
So two questions on this. First of all, if John Boehner does accept this, I mean, we're talking about Walking Dead today and all the great numbers Walking Dead. Is he basically going to be part of the Walking Dead? He has no career left in leadership if he accepts this, right?
Well, if you believe that Boehner has gone along with all of these efforts to delay and defund Obamacare to the point of shutting the government down, if you believe that he's deferred to the most conservative group in the Republican conference in the House because he's afraid of losing his speakership, well, how in the world does he agree to this?
Right.
You're absolutely right. There could be serious problems.
And secondly, I'm interested in the intrigue in the Senate, specifically the relationship between Harry Reid and Joe Biden. The Politico reported about 10 days ago that Harry Reid said to the president in no uncertain terms, keep Biden out of this. We don't like any of the deals that he ends up getting. And meanwhile, my understanding from late yesterday was that Joe Biden actually is part of getting this deal between Harry Reid and Mitch McConnell. What are you hearing?
Yeah, not a surprise at all that Biden should show up, at least at the very end. Harry Reid had been angry that in the past he felt that Biden had been too solicitous or too giving in dealing with Republicans. Certainly he felt that in that 2011 debt limit negotiation that brought us the sequestration cuts, which Democrats want to get rid of.
Mm-hmm.
So it has been interesting. This last weekend, Biden actually was at Camp David.
Yeah.
Actually, I didn't know vice presidents went to Camp David very much, but he was just sort of in hiding while the Republic held him in the balance. But it does appear that he's going to be part of some sort of final deal. But Harry Reid has basically gotten his way by cutting Joe Biden out of most of the talks.
And can I just ask you one more quick question about these sequester cuts? Whatever deal that they may come up with, if in fact they do get a deal out of this, the sequester cuts will stay through till whatever the next deadline is, through January. And by all reasonable analysis, the sequester cuts are in fact working and are effective in reducing our deficit. So the Republicans could potentially spin that as a bit of a win, no?
Well, they could spin it as a win, but, the Democrats did want this mid-January. We're going to come up upon this continuing resolution again in mid-January, and that also happens to be the time that a new round of sequester cuts comes into effect, and we can expect a new round of scare stories about how the world is going to end if these cuts take effect. And it will be in that atmosphere that they'll be negotiating over the sequester cuts and a continuing resolution. So Democrats actually wanted a mid-January cutoff date on this.
Oh, okay, so just step back for a moment and sort of look back at where we've been. Because, the first effort in the House was to defund Obamacare. But I'm wondering if the first run at it, the first run that got so much attention, if they had focused on delaying instead of defunding. And given the fact that we've had so many problems with the rollout of the website, there's so much anger about the fact that this is a website that cost $634 million, a website that was a no-bid contract. And then on top of all that, if you ever do get through the system and actually look at the plans, you find that the plans are too expensive, you can't afford them. Wouldn't it have been better to ask for a delay? Because it seems if we had gotten a delay and had focused on delay instead of defunding right out of the box, right on the first rattle out of the cage, that you might have had a more productive strategy.
I think certainly if they had begun asking for delay after the October 1 beginning of Obamacare with all of these problems, I mean, what's kind of interesting is, first of all, setting up the exchanges has been incredibly expensive, maybe up to $600 million so far, and HHS has tried to look, they're looking under the cushions of the sofa for more money to get this done. And you're right, this has been so difficult for people to get on to the exchanges and to buy coverage that at some point the Obama administration, if it doesn't get better soon, is going to actually have to ask for a delay in the individual mandate. Obamacare may end up delaying itself without any help from Republicans. But it seems to me that Republicans probably hurt themselves by pushing for defunding and then even for delaying before the public even got a taste of what Obamacare was going to be like.
Byron York from the Washington Examiner. Always a pleasure. Thanks for joining us.
Guys, thanks for having me.